This draft class was an absolute masterclass in getting ball players for the low.
This Browns draft class is historic, and I'm not saying that just to throw hype in the air. I'm saying it because Andrew Berry finally did what Browns fans have been begging this franchise to do for months. He stopped playing around, stopped acting cute, and went out to get real football players who fit real needs. And here's the part nobody is talking about. This draft was not just about adding names to a roster. This was about changing the entire energy around the Cleveland Browns.
People talked about the Cleveland Browns. They talked about we didn't have a quarterback. They talked about we didn't have no linemen. They talked about how we didn't trust what was going on, what we looking at. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. Everybody got to go. Well, today, it's for all the ones.
Because for the last 6 to 8 months, every Browns conversation felt miserable. It was all quarterback drama, coaching drama, front office drama, Deshaun Watson questions, Shedeur Sanders debates, Dylan Gabriel debates, Myles Garrett rumors, and people acting like the Browns were already dead before the season even started. But then the draft happened, and suddenly the conversation changed. Now we are actually talking about the team getting better. Now we are talking about protection, weapons, competition, toughness, depth, and a real plan. Andrew Berry delivered, because this class actually makes sense when you look at it as a whole. You cannot judge it by one pick in a vacuum. You cannot just look at Spencer Fano and stop there. You cannot just look at KC Concepcion and panic over drops. You have to look at the full picture. The Browns attacked offensive line, wide receiver, safety, depth, special teams, and competition. That is what a serious football team does when it knows the roster needs a reset.
And the moves that he made in the first round complement the moves he made in the second round. The KC Concepcion pick looks brilliant when you add it with another receiver like Denzel Boston.
Here's the part nobody is talking about. The first round moves only look better when you add the rest of the draft around them. Spencer Fano is not just a tackle pick. He is the start of an offensive line rebuild. KC Concepcion is not just a slot receiver. He is part of a new playmaker group. Then you add a bigger receiver like Denzel Boston, more offensive line depth, and a rangy defensive back like Emanuel McNeil-Warren, and now you start seeing the layers. This was not random. This was a blueprint. This is where it gets dangerous, because the Browns are no longer building like a team that wants excuses. They are building like a team that believes it can be closer than people think. That is why they did not tear everything down. That is why they did not run from the roster. That is why they added pieces around the quarterback room instead of sitting around crying about not having a perfect quarterback. Because football is not played by one man. It takes 11 people moving together.
Don't go out and don't use these picks unless you have a quarterback. This is not an individual sport. You do know everybody in front of the quarterback, as well as the pass catchers for the quarterback, have a tremendous influence on whether the quarterback is good or not, right?
And that is the part some fans keep missing. Everybody wants to reduce everything to quarterback. If you don't have the guy, nothing matters. No, that is fantasy football thinking. A quarterback needs protection. A quarterback needs timing. A quarterback needs receivers who separate. A quarterback needs a run game. A quarterback needs a coach with vision. You do not just plant a quarterback by the window like a little houseplant and wait for him to become Aaron Rodgers. You build the environment around him. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They think talent alone gets them on the field. But this Browns class feels different because these guys come in with an edge. Fano talks like a polite guy at the podium, but then he says there's nothing like moving another grown man against his will. That is trench talk. That is not analytics talk. That is not spreadsheet talk. That is football, and Cleveland needed more of that. Spencer Fano might end up being the tone setter of this whole class. The Browns moved down, still got the tackle they wanted, and picked up more value. That is smart business, and if they were going to take him at 6 anyway, getting him at 9 makes the move even better. He comes in as a potential starter, a potential franchise left tackle, and a guy who fits the mentality this new Browns offense needs. You cannot build a real offense if the line is always collapsing. Then you look at KC Concepcion, and I know some people are nervous. Yes, the drops are a concern. Yes, he has to clean that up. But don't act like the talent is not obvious. He gives you juice. He gives you return value. He gives you motion, screens, quick game ability, open space playmaking, and that suddenness the Browns have been missing. He does not need to be a traditional number 1 receiver. He needs to be a problem. And in Todd Monken's offense, that type of player can be dangerous.
You got Denzel Boston. You doubled up on receivers. See, I thought when they got KC Concepcion, I thought, okay.
Here's the part nobody is talking about. KC looks even better when he's not alone. When you pair him with another young receiver like Denzel Boston, now you're not asking one rookie to fix everything. One guy can work the intermediate areas, screens, motion, and special teams. The other can bring size, physicality, and outside receiver traits. That is how you build a room. You don't just draft one player and pray, you stack skill sets. And that is exactly what Barry did with the offensive line too. He didn't just say, we got Fano, we're done. No, he kept adding bodies, he added competition, he added depth, he added players who can push the veterans, challenge the backups, and make the room uncomfortable. That is how you raise the floor of a team, not by hoping everybody stays healthy, but by making sure the next man up is not a disaster.
This is where it gets dangerous, because competition changes behavior. When a player knows the team just drafted somebody behind him, he practices different. When a veteran knows a rookie is coming for snaps, he locks in. When a young player knows nothing is guaranteed, he grows up fast. That is what this draft did. It sent a message to the locker room that nobody is just being handed comfort anymore. And defensively, Emanuel McNeil-Warren gives them another piece that fits the same idea: size, range, attitude, ball skills, and physicality. That is not a luxury pick if he can become part of the secondary rotation. That is another player who makes the roster more competitive. And when you are in the AFC North, you need tough defensive backs. You need guys who will hit, cover ground, and bring energy. But the biggest shift might be the energy around the building. The way Todd Monken talked to these players, the way Andrew Barry sounded on draft calls, the way the rookies reacted, it all felt different. It did not feel cold. It did not feel robotic. It felt like there was a real message being delivered. We believe in you. We have a role for you. Now keep that same energy and come be part of this.
It also takes a coach with vision, a coach with creativity, and a coach that will dare to do one thing that people keep missing: inspiring and also building relationships.
Here's the part nobody is talking about. Players respond to that. Fans can roll their eyes at culture talk, but relationships matter. When a coach can clearly tell a player what he sees in him, where he fits, and how he can help, that gives a young player confidence. Shedeur Sanders has already talked about liking the coaching staff and feeling belief. Other players have said similar things. That stuff matters when you are trying to build something new. And that is why this draft feels historic for Cleveland. Not because every player is automatically a star. That would be ridiculous. It feels historic because it finally gives Browns fans something real to rally around. For once, the conversation is not just about what is broken. It is about what is being built. The offensive line got younger and deeper. The receiver room got more explosive. The defense got another rangy playmaker. The quarterback room now has more help around it. That is progress. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They come into a city like Cleveland and underestimate the emotion of the fan base. But if these rookies understand what this city wants, they can become loved fast. Browns fans do not need perfection. They need fight. They need toughness. They need players who care. They need guys who look like they understand what that orange helmet means. If this class gives them that, the city will ride with them. And let's talk about the Browns fan base for a second. This city has been through enough. Generations of fans have watched losing, resets, bad decisions, and false hope. So when people finally see a draft class that looks like it has direction, why are they not allowed to be excited? Why does every Browns fan have to wait 7 years before saying, I like this move? Other teams get praised right away. Other fan bases get to celebrate. Cleveland should be allowed to enjoy a good weekend too. The legacy angle is huge here, because this draft might be remembered as the moment Andrew Barry changed the conversation around himself. If these players hit, people are going to look back and say this was the class where the Browns finally stopped overthinking and started drafting playmakers, protectors, and competitors. But if it fails, the criticism will be brutal, because Barry put his stamp all over it. This is his class. This is his bet. This is his answer. And that is what makes it exciting. There is no hiding now. Fano has to become that left tackle. KC has to clean up the drops and bring electricity. Denzel Boston has to bring physicality. The young linemen have to push the room. Emanuel McNeil-Warren has to make plays. Todd Monken has to turn these pieces into an offense that looks modern, fast, and tough. The plan is clear now, so the results have to follow. But for today, Browns fans should feel good. They should feel like the team finally raised the floor. They should feel like the roster has more juice than it had a week ago. They should feel like the front office did not just sit there and complain about quarterback problems while ignoring everything around the quarterback. They actually built around the position. That is what smart teams do. So now the debate starts. Did Andrew Barry just deliver a historic Browns draft class that changes the future of this team? Or are fans drinking the Kool-Aid too early again? Because if Spencer Fano becomes the anchor, KC Concepcion becomes the spark, Denzel Boston becomes the bully, and this offensive line finally gives the quarterbacks a real chance, then everybody who mocked this draft is going to have to moonwalk those takes back. But if it falls apart, the same people celebrating today will have to admit Barry's masterclass was just another Browns mirage.